that will, all that discussion in the following variance will have to put down.
We're going to have definite answers on the 21st when we have our second housing symposium.
Oh,
21st or the 23rd?
I think it's the 21st.
and definite answers about what? Where hazard is going to go?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully that's going to mix with what you come up with zoning.
This is Tuesday? Or is it Thursday?
I don't have to ask me.
So, but the thing about Elton, it almost sounds like somebody, I don't think it sounds like a workshop thing, but it would make,
I agree with you.
that somebody should go through the zoning, the new zoning proposed, and insert the ADUs wherever it's applicable. Meaning, it's not a LU 2003 is like legislation. It's not a new that you just add on. That's what Jay's saying. It has to be all in.
Well, it can be its own separate section as long as we're not conflicting
Right.
with what's in the existing ordinance.
Which would be
So,
the lot sizes and the setbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The only changes I see coming from us for chapter 13 would be the definitions and the land use table. From our perspective,
For LD 2000.
not including LD.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Not including us.
So we don't, from,
I want to ask Jay a question.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jay? If we deleted our residential one neighborhood zoning, and that all became an R2, which now allows multi-dwellings, wouldn't that simplify this whole process?
it would simplify it very much so.
It would
And it's something that we would recommend.
in compliance with LD
Yep.
2003.
You would incorporate that.
Yep.
It just kind of fixes it.
Steve, I have a question about our R1 lot sizes. Because currently they don't fit in R2 lot size, correct?
There is a difference, I think.
There is.
Yeah.
It's like 9 or 5, I can't
One
remember.
of them was 12,000.
And the other one is that the R2?
So you don't necessarily need to change that for, I guess you want to be careful when you start to look at your ordinance. I think the R2 is probably the smart way to go. And then just realizing that some of those lots are not going to be right. And if I guess we want to be careful that if you create an R2 or have an R2 and you don't have really room for that additional growth, are you really meeting the intent of the legislation? You don't have, right, in the R2. I mean, if it's jammed in and we don't, but that would be the way to go, and that would certainly make the letter of, or the intent of
We still have to maintain our setback requirements,
correct.
lot coverage percentage.
Correct.
And another thing that I've come across that doesn't seem to be referenced in the information, if a home, let's say they wanted to convert their garage into a accessory, they can't connect, that garage has to have its own direct sewer connection to the street.
Correct.
It can't be brought over into the house. So that's quite a bit more cost. So anyone that's thinking of that sort of development, now they're looking at connection to the utilities district rather than say
Already connected.
a short ABC to get into the house.
We would love to have new users. I'm telling you right now. So, yeah.
So there are still some
Yes.
glitches to deal with, I think.
And I want to say, Penny and I and Karen met this today, and I'll say this, and I guess I'll be careful. It's compliance with LD, with the legislation really has been pretty low across the state. Just everybody's struggling with how to figure this out, and it's not just Caribou, it's across the board. We've recommended and actually had Maine Housing and others, I think, do exactly what Steve had said, is if you can compact your residential districts, you're really far ahead of the game on that.
How about if you send Jay what you've done, your proposed in this context in preparation for a workshop.
Okay.
And get it done. Is there a way to like decide on it once and for all? I mean, it sounds like what you said is just ready to go public hearing, but it doesn't sound like it is. So
Well, now we've listened to, so we're very close for our public hearing, and we could have submitted it to the city council for the zoning hearing. So it'll be
I
a
think
couple
it would
months.
be nice to look at zoning ordinances
Yeah.
everywhere. And I think it would be really good for him to critically look at it
Mhm.
and advise and workshop. I don't know.
Right, and I do think, you know, as you said, Madam Chair, you do need to decide kind of what size accessory dwelling unit you really want. And what we've been recommending, well, it's been kind of back and forth with the community. Some have chosen the square footage, others have chosen a percentage of the principal structure. I guess I'd have to think about it a little bit longer and harder for care, but what would make the most sense, but I can certainly look at that, maybe when I start to see
Yeah.
what's in the present ordinance of where to go, so.
And then, so you want the proposed zoning up in the land use table? Okay.
I'm glad I didn't duck too hard when you made that suggestion.
And then a workshop.
Right, and truthfully, the workshop, I think, from my standpoint, I did say right off the bat that that'll be, the wording is probably the most important, but really, if we can do something, and I'm certainly willing to work and look at it too beforehand, the workshop to me really ought to be a comprehensive plan to make sure that we're making your ordinance legal and that kind of stuff, so that's how I think we should do it. Right.
Future land use, which would be a description of the new, like, the new zoning and why and
Yeah.
what you see in the future.
Right.
And all that.
So that's my disjointed presentation on LD 2003. And part of the comprehensive plan, I don't know if anyone wants to do more. That was quite a bit more, but,
You're up next on the,
Yeah, but what do you guys think
oh, do you want to pick a date?
for a workshop or do that after the next meeting?
It depends if we can get all that stuff to Jay before.
I think we have it all, we just need to send it over.
so have you changed like definitions and all that, or you pretty much got your definitions?
Oh, no,
Okay.
everything.
Everything good? Good?
The definitions? Okay.
I think some of us do more listings. We haven't addressed the definitions yet.
No, we have them somewhere, but we have the definitions, but we haven't incorporated it. Everything's in the land,
Yeah.
and we have a large expanded land use table.
Good.
Large expanded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, I just want to reiterate, this legislation does not impact your land use table
Can you get that in?
as written.
Right.
So we're not, unless you have, are not allowing accessory dwelling units in an area with residential development.
We don't, no, we don't, we have, it's in there, it's in the land use table,
Okay,
so we'll have to look at the zoning.
okay, sounds good,
I can't remember what we did with it, but it is in the land use table.
sounds good.
Okay. We have not. It's gonna be both LD and, comprehensive plan.
Bag lunch?
Bag lunch. Bag lunch.
Pajamas, Dave.
Right? Is this something you guys yeah. Something here, I'm assuming, would be June 13th. Would be the next planning board meeting. I'm assuming you guys want to do something before then? I hear yes.
Both in a hurry, yeah.
So meeting? The 13th? 10 days.
So it would be,
Okay.
have it in like the Wednesday before.
Mm-hmm. Does that work for everybody, the 23rd?
That'll be a zoning land use. So actually,
Slash, advice copy. Okay. And here, no issues.
It works for me right today.
Okay. 6 p.m.? That's fine with me too. I'm okay with earlier. Is anybody else? Eric?
Should work,
5:30?
whatever, just let us know.
You're here the longest, so you
it's not her. I just thought, people wanted to start earlier, researching her, so. Then we can eat and talk and maybe get out here before.
Okay. Do you guys want to do 5?
Sure.
On the 23rd, yeah. Let me just update. Which is not an all-day event. Yeah, okay. That's a Thursday, yeah. Okay. Now, Karen.
So where we're at on the comp plan, Jay and I kind of divided up the sections. There are 12 sections, and this is kind of the data. The state gives us an outline of what we need to do. Okay, these 12 sections: water resources, transportation. Remember all the history, population, all these. Okay, so we have 12 sections. We're probably 60 to 75% written of those. Okay, they're pieces and parts of the other sections. So my question to you is, at what point do you want to start reviewing? Okay, so right now we have quite a few sections in very rough draft, and Penny was the one that said, I'm more of a perfectionist. Well, she's a very much a perfectionist, but she's like, just give it to them and let them read it, okay? And so we can do that. So there's that aspect of it, or you can wait till it's a little more of a polished draft, and then there'll be a final draft that will be brought to the public and the council after you say it. So at what point do you want to start reading over the sections? Do you want to read over all the sections? Do you each want to take one section and critically read it and report back? Do you want it on paper? Do you want it in a Word document, email, or both? Okay, so as you start thinking about reviewing the text and the drafts, how do you want to do that? That's what we're kind of asking you. So what we've been doing is I'm writing and sending it to him, and he's writing and sending it to me. And
Opposite sections?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then we're at that point with a lot of the sections. I'm still in the throes of, writing some of them, okay, that you won't see for a few weeks, all right? But we do have some that are pretty close to being done, that you could get the gist of what we're doing, okay?
Probably the next week.
Yeah,
That's
in the next week to 10 days. So my question is, do you want to read it all? Do you just want to go back to natural resources and, water resources and history? And those are some of the first ones that are going to be done. Population and demographics, transportation, all the ones, Jay's. Water resources is separate from natural resources. Natural resources is agriculture and forestry and fish and, wildlife and all that. Then there's water resources, et cetera. The recreation is, I'm speaking with Gary tomorrow, that should be pretty much done in a week, because I've pretty much gotten that done, except for what he wants to put in there. I've been begging him over the winter to send me stuff, but the only way I'm gonna get him is to sit with him eyeball to eyeball. And and Jay's working on the housing. Anyway, but for what, as we finish these rough drafts, what do you guys want to do with it?
Can I have a hard copy on the 23rd?
Yes, of all of them that are
Yeah.
done to date?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we want to hear. Yep.
I don't know about everybody else, but I like,
Yep, and we want you to like scribble on it and mark it up and ask us questions and the things that you think maybe are addressed or not addressed, or, you know, you can give us compliments too.
So your plan is to have rough copies or draft copies by the 23rd?
Not of everything, but we have some that
Oh,
we could
okay.
give you. We could have even probably given you some tonight, but we're just like, I just got back and we're just kind of game planning this whole thing right now, so.
And do we have somewhere the compiled notes from those breakout sessions we had?
Yeah, they're in our computers, my computer and Penny's computer.
Well, I guess my thought would be to look at those and see what were the salient points, and then read the section and see,
Okay.
see that reflected based upon the input.
Okay, well, you have to assume that it is reflective because we use those too, but, yeah,
I assume you did, but.
right.
Well, I mean, we can, like,
we
if
could
we
dig
have the
those out.
sections, we could just print the notes and
Yeah.
attach them to the sections.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
If that's what,
Some of the
how you
notes are
wanna
better
look
than
at it,
others.
yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you know, but we do have
Mhm.
the agendas and the notes for the ones that, so we could do that.
Yep.
So, okay, so does everyone want hard copies of every section that, as we get them done?
I
Close
do.
to done.
I would recommend before the 23rd, so you have an opportunity to review them.
Now-
So it's a productive work session
But,
rather than.
but the 23rd, I think we have to be careful about the 23rd. I think the 23rd should be our land use only and zoning. Because
Okay.
we can get really bogged down. I mean, if you would just want to turn them in, okay, that's the other thing. If you want to talk about them and discuss them, how do you want to handle that? Do you want to have, I mean, I really believe, maybe I'm, you know, you guys have the final say, but I'm thinking the 23rd to keep it to zoning and land use. Like, that's going to be a lot.
can we get him on the 23rd and have markups and stuff back on the
At the next planning
13th?
board meeting.
Yes.
We could have a section of the planning board
Yeah.
meeting, like an hour even, or 45 minutes, or whatever, the rest, whatever else is on the agenda.
We're just going to keep adding meetings to Jay's.
But,
Schedule.
but a lot of it is if you write your comments.
Yeah.
Okay? And then, of course, everyone on the planning board isn't going to see all your comments, right?
Mhm.
But that'll be really helpful to us to incorporate what what you're commenting and stuff on there. But we can also discuss it in the planning board meetings. I just don't know if there's going to be enough time to discuss every single section in detail, to discuss them. It's going to be really helpful to Jay and me to get your written comments, honestly, and then, see, there's still going to be a draft plan after that. Okay, so you're going to be reading rough drafts, then whatever we come up with from all the comments is still going to be a draft plan.
Right.
Because it's not final until public hearing,
Yeah.
council, and there still might be tweaks at that point, right?
So what I'll promise the planning board is I will get a rough draft section of the land use section
Yep.
to you beforehand.
Yes.
Understanding that I
Yes.
don't have this chapter 13 change.
Yep.
The new
Well,
stuff.
I may actually have them beforehand, so I don't know. So then we can, I think the productive use of that time
Yes.
would be, okay, here's the proposal.
Because we haven't had a work group on land use.
No, we haven't.
Okay, so this would be like our land use work group,
Okay.
okay? So that's perfect.
Yeah, I'll
That's
do- I
perfect.
promise you, I'll get it to you next week at the latest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
or
that's
I
good.
shouldn't say to you, but depending on
And then as we get, we probably should have at least half a dozen sections to give to you on the 23rd to discuss for the next planning board meeting.
Okay.
Okay? So we'll just give them to you to take home and do your homework, and then the next
Nice
planning
light
board.
reading.
What's that?
Nice light reading.
Yeah. But it's the big thing, of course, we'll talk about this again on the 23rd, but we remember that, and Penny, you say it, I've talked enough, what the plan, what we really want to make sure that we cover in the plan for the next 10 years. You're always saying how important.
Oh,
plans are.
perspection, yeah, I mean, we have to have a vision for what you want
Right,
to see in 10
and
years, and
It's the foundation for.
grant writing, yeah.
Grant writing, funding, council budgets,
Mhm.
everything, okay? So whatever's a priority in the plan, pretty much is gonna be a priority for the city to work on, okay? So, keep that in mind, that's what we're trying to portray in some of these sections. Some of them are pretty dry, it's just
Mhm.
inventory, you know?
Yeah.
But some of them are gonna be more, have more meat in them, as far
Well,
as
the
action.
fun part is like the village partnership program, where you're actually doing design work in it. We're supporting the village partnership and saying,
Planning.
okay, here's what's gonna come out of that,
Mhm.
here's the grant opportunities in the future, those
Mhm.
kind of things, so.
Mhm.
You're right, it's dry and
But it's very necessary, because all of these, and it's also important that everything works together. Our riverfront plan, this comprehensive plan, the DOT plan, if we're able to get funding for the housing study, all these plans really need to work together.
And one more thing, remember, the front of each section is policies, goals, strategies, by when dates, ideally, and by whom dates, by whom is going to make, who's gonna make these things happen. Okay, so that's kind of our action page, so we could probably use a lot of help from you guys on that, because you are the planning board, okay?
and we've had a significant number of policies and strategies.
Action items, yeah.
Action items. I should say draft.
Yes, yes.
Thank you both.
Okay.
All right, 4C, Troy Pelletier application Shoreland, page 12. Penny, I'm going to ask you to give an intro.
Okay, so you have in your packet, and then also you have this long stack of
This, okay.
documentation too. Okay, so this was something that, of course, I was away, and so I kind of got all these action items late because I wasn't in the office until Monday. So Tony had been talking to Steve Wentworth about this property. It's 20 Limestone Street. I've got it here on the GIS map. So this property owner has gone to considerable expense with regard to surveying, which you can see on here. So Dale Blackstone, Tony has been working with him for years because he can't really decide what he wants to put there for a house. And now he's thinking he wants to have a house that also has an in-law apartment. And we have to deal with things like setbacks from the river, setbacks from the road, setbacks from property lines, lot coverage because it's on the river. There's impervious surface. There's all kinds of things to deal with this property, which is why he's gone to so much expense working with Dale Blackstone on the survey that you have. So the reason why you have this whole packet today is earlier today, Tony met with 3 people from DEP at the site.
Tony Michaud?
Yeah, Tony Michaud, to see if this was going to be a go. And DEP, they were worried about NERPA, but then they made a call and they said, no, that should be fine. And of course, the homeowners were like having a heart attack, that maybe they weren't going to be able to do anything. But this kind of shows you what his current plan is, and that he has Dale Blackstone has done all of these different calculations here. But I think the reason why it's coming here is because he's got this in-law apartment in here also. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, it's in the R2, which requires planning board review for a two-family.
Yeah. So is this anything, like, do we have to set a public hearing for this, Steve, or we just review it and say he's okay?
I suppose technically, yeah, public hearing.
Okay. Right. So,
Because it's R2 and it's multifamily.
It triggers the site design review process
For 2 units? I
Yeah.
thought it was 3 units.
too.
LD 2003.
And see, this would comply
Yeah.
Right.
with the new
That was
statute.
gonna ask.
But we have not, our ordinance does not represent the new statute, so we're,
okay, so, do you want me to schedule a public hearing for, June 13th for this property? Or is there
Can
anything
we-
else looking at this?
Can we
that-
do it the 23rd? Can we have a quick
Sure.
public hearing on the 23rd and get this
Sure.
off our docket?
Yep, sure can. I mean, like I said, they try to do everything right here.
Just a question, Madam Chair. Do you have any information from the DEP in a report? Or did
So
they just?
Tony asked them to give him a report,
Okay,
and he actually, when he got back to the office, made a list of everything he wanted in the report. We just don't have that report yet.
No
Because it
problem.
was literally, they met there at like 10 o'clock this morning.
okay, well, a report's gonna come,
Yep,
and that'll outline,
yeah, and we
What-
should be able to
why it
have that
should
by
work.
May 23rd.
yeah.
We're just always very cautious when it's anything on the river.
Yeah.
Because we don't want someone, it costs so much to build today, we don't want someone to build and then the DEP come in and say, yeah, you need to tear this all up. you
Right.
know, So,
Yeah.
that's not what we want to see happen.
I mean, does it make sense to do it on the 23rd? Just have a quick,
I'll ask Tony if we will have our letter by then.
okay.
I think we will. Let me just look at the calendar. So tomorrow is Friday, so if we got it in the paper if we got it in the paper on the 15th, we could have it on the 23rd.
Is anybody opposed to that?
Nope.
I just know summer construction's coming,
Yes,
so.
the construction season is short, so. Yep,
Lovely.
yep.
Okay.
Alrighty, so got that is all set about letter timing. So we'll have to get those, the butters notices out, we'll have to try to get those out tomorrow, so. Okay.
Are you good?
Yep.
All right, item D, we have a
Before you
zoning.
go- before you
Yes.
go there?
Yeah.
Is Mr. Pelletier in the audience?
No.
No?
Zoning change request, 653 Main Street. That would be starting on page 22?
Yeah, and we do have someone here about 653 Main Street, correct? Yeah. So we do have someone about that.
Okay.
So you do have in your package, this was something else that Tony gave me on Monday when I was back in the office, about a zoning change at 653 Main Street. The owner of record is Elena Vigaya, who purchased it 3/22/24. The previous owner, Blair Crawford, received approval from the planning board at the August 2022 planning board meeting to add an additional apartment accessory to commercial use on the first floor of the building with conditions, and I put the minutes of that meeting in your packet. However, I don't see where any building or plumbing permits were issued. Is there a first floor apartment there now?
First floor.
Yep, is there one now? Okay, so it was built, but no permits were issued. The current zoning is C2 commercial. It's on map 31, lot 201. Across the street is Gary Gagner's building, which is a commercial office building. The Nylander, and that's zone C2. The Nylander Museum is on one side, that's C2. Main Street Associates, where Felch and Company is on the other side, that's C2. And then Linden Heights, which is zoned R2, is in the rear of the property. And you can see that on the memo page, you can see it's smaller, but I have on page, I guess I didn't attach it. So I did have a copy of, a bigger copy of the map and the zoning map, so you could see it a little bit easier, but apparently it did not get attached.
What is they want it to become
Well, what they're looking for is another first floor apartment, so they would have no commercial use at the property in a commercial zone. So did you want to talk about
Yeah,
what
do you
you
wanna
wanted to do?
Would you like me to say this first? Oh.
Can you come to the microphone?
Thank you.
Nick is the current owner. I'm Sid Keir. I've met some of you in the past, but I'm helping him with some ideas and thoughts. What it is, the building is now entirely residential with a small, approximately 400 square foot space that is empty as of today. It's been an office space, and what the proposal is to make it a small efficiency apartment/office. So all we'd be doing is adding a wall that would allow for a bedroom, a small kitchenette, and then install a shower, so if somebody did reside there. And the primary target for residency is for temporary medical professionals that are in town for a 3-month stint. So residential, yes, long-term residential, not necessarily. And if at any time he wanted to put somebody back in there as an office, it would still function as an office very well. It would just be equipped so it could also be used as a short-term residential. Outside structure is not going to change, and the only thing that would have to be added is plumbing to put in a kitchen sink for a small efficiency kitchen and a shower. And that will tie into the existing structure there. The other thing I thought I'd just mention while I'm here, yes, there is an apartment in the downstairs of the building, and that was done before Nick acquired the property. So as far as permits and things of that nature, that was all done before he acquired the property.
That's got a full basement, correct?
No, does
No?
not, no.
Is it on a slab?
Part of it, at least, is on a slab. That's something I tried to figure out when I was over there working with him, because there is absolutely zero access space. If there's a crawl space, there's no way to get into it. So it appears that it is on a slab.
So the addition to that 400 square feet is going to consume the, what was designated as commercial space?
Well, yeah, that's all it is right now, is a room approximately this size.
So that all become one apartment?
Right, it's just going to be a small efficiency apartment.
No, two
We put in a room to separate a
Two downstairs, one
a
upstairs.
bedroom. It does have an existing rear exit, okay, so that's already there. But it would allow for a kitchen living combination type of thing with a small bedroom and a bathroom. That's why I say it could also function as an office at any time in the future. So it doesn't prohibit somebody using it as an office, but it does allow for short-term residential.
Question.
Yes, sir.
If you petition off for the bedroom,
Mhm.
will the bedroom have an egress
Yeah.
compliant window?
Yes. Well, it has an exit door.
So the bedroom will have a door to the outside?
Yes, sir.
That's better than a window.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am going to preface this conversation as I think this area is slated to become mixed use in the very near future.
That'd be good.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we're currently working on our zoning map, and there are several pocket areas in the city that have commercial, residential,
Mhm.
and the city has recognized that. So our solution is to go from a C2 to a mixed use, which would allow both commercial and residential in the same zone.
Perfect.
It's coming. It might be a couple of months. We have a meeting coming up next month where we're probably going to try to hold a public meeting. It has to go from the planning board, has to pass here, has to go to the city council, has to pass there. So it'll take a couple of months.
Mhm.
That is
Well,
the
as
only
of-
reason that I hesitate.
As of our last conversation on this, I understand there is somebody wanting to lease it for office space for the next 3 or 4 months anyway. So, that's not a conflict at all from our perspective.
So if it doesn't come through, please come back and ask us again.
Okay.
But that is our current plan right now.
Okay? Excellent.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I don't think we could approve it tonight.
No.
Anyway,
No.
being that it would consume more than the 50%
Correct.
area on the first floor.
Right, it would have to, yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Anybody else? No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item E. There has been some discussion about properties being purchased in the city, and I'm going to let Mr. Corvo speak to the item E.
Well, it stems from, I forget which LD, it's probably,
Oh, it's the Supreme Court, wasn't it? The,
right, if you acquire a property through, not eminent domain, but,
The automatic lien foreclosure process.
right, and you wind up spending $15,000 to remediate the issue, and you're offered $25,000 from an adjoining neighbor that wants to acquire the property. The prior owner, even though he gave up all his rights, feel that he's entitled to that $10,000 difference. And that's gone to court, and the court has sided with the prior owner. So, the thought process behind this item E is that if we acquire a property, I was thinking that it would behoove the city to have a meeting of the minds with the homeowner, agree on prices, what it's going to cost us to remediate the issue, the back liens that are paid off, and if the prior homeowner has no intention of being involved in the process, then that person waives his rights, signs a consent agreement saying, I'm okay with what you're doing, give me $1,000, I'll go away, it's signed, it's a done deal, the property becomes the city can then maybe possibly turn it over to a nonprofit to build a, what's the word I'm looking for? Penny, help me out here, I'm having a senior moment.
Workforce housing?
Huh?
Workforce housing? I don't know, that's a buzzword.
Pocket neighborhood?
No.
We're trying to
They
pull it all
they all
the.
apply, but it was land.
Oh, land bank?
Land bank.
Land bank.
There we go.
Yes. That seems to be working fairly well in several main communities. It could be all of us in the room all put in $10,000, we put up a house, we sell it, and it provides a home for a workforce family that's looking to establish themselves in the community. So, that being said, the city of Brewer formed an LLC, a nonprofit LLC, which is basically doing just that. The properties that they're able to acquire, they acquire them, they have all the agreements in place, and then they turn around and offer it for sale to contractors or donate it to a land bank, and they've had success with it. They've been buying big commercial buildings with their units, but I think it would be equally as beneficial for us to do it on smaller properties, since we don't have a whole lot of repossessed commercial properties or bank foreclosures, things of that nature. So I thought I'd bring that to mind,
I
yes.
think the Brewer LLC was actually formed to work with the Brownfield program.
That was mentioned also, yes.
And
Yep.
it worked very well and was
Yep.
able to redevelop a large
Oh,
parcel of commercial land that would not have met the Brownfield definition had they not been able to purchase it.
Yep. Thank you very much.
I have senior moments all the time, so I'm glad I remember that.
Land bank, I should write it down. So that concludes my,
That concludes
my
your-
5 cents worth.
5 cents,
Yes, it's
more than 2.
inflation. So something to consider, Penny.
Yep. I
Yeah.
couldn't find anything on this. Like when I got the memo to put it on the agenda, I couldn't find anything other
I
than
have, I have the article.
the 501c3 that Brewer has established for conservation. That was the only one I could find.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Yeah, and I looked through their minutes of their council from 2024, but I couldn't really find a link to them in 2023.
I think I saved that.
Yeah.
I'll look for it. I'll make
Yeah.
a note, give you a copy.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Would that, Jay mentioned something about the Brownsfields, would that help the city as well?
Well, I mean, we're doing, well, I guess the city owns ours anyway, because
We
our
do now,
properties
yeah.
have been acquired through the automatic lien foreclosure process too.
Right.
so.
Gotcha.
But is it a clean title?
The power plant's on, we got that one cleaned up. Yep.
Good.
We're
And-
working on it.
Every day?
Not every day, but
Any other discussion on that item?
so Dave will bring article.
All right. Can I just stop writing? On page 28, we have item F. It's an ordinance for homeless encampments, and there's a memo. I know Chief Gahagan is here for an update, and then Karen has also done some research. So, Chief, if you'd like to.
Do you have an extra one of those that Chief Gahagan gave out?
Yeah.
I don't have
I
one.
bet.
Good evening, all. We're not immune to the homelessness because one reason is the bus stops here. It doesn't go north, so we end up with people from away that have the ticket to Caribou, and they're usually here for a couple days, and then they realize that they want to move on. As of right now, if we're talking about 10 people, we don't have any tents up at this time. We're fortunate that when we do find tents, it's not on public property, it's on private property. We reach out to the owner of the property and see what they want to do, and advise them that they have people staying on their property, and usually the tent people will tell them that they're going to be squatting on this property, so it's going to be eventually theirs. So you tell them that no, the law says that you have to be here for 25 years before you own that property. So we fortunately can move them along. The problem that we are facing is not necessarily the homeless living in tents, but the homeless living couch surfing. I have approximately 5 houses in town that have somewhere between 7 and 15 people living in it, each house, or a garage, that we respond to quite often. They conform to the laws when we approach them, and if not, we actually give them summonses and take them to court. In 2022, the Attorney General came out with a protocol of different crimes if they are homeless, that our first indication is that we can't charge them with that crime, and one of them is trespassing.
You cannot charge them with trespassing.
They can't charge them without giving them some alternative place to go. In your package, I gave you a list of the opportunities that they have in the area. Most of these people do not take that opportunity. We have a pamphlet that we give out for all the services that is provided throughout the county when we encounter them. So law enforcement is in a pickle of what do we do? We initially can't charge them with trespassing. You have to give them a warning the first time. And these individuals, some of them, we do arrest. They go to court, and they go to jail, and they come back, and they're in an abandoned building. Not necessarily 10. I have 4 or 5 places in town that they spend their time in, and we go in and rustle them out and advise them that they're trespassing, and sometimes those that are offending more than once, we arrest, and they go back to jail, and they come back out, and next week they're back in some other place. So it's a revolving circuit for us. The protocol for homelessness, we don't actually keep track of homelessness. We keep track of like trespassing. In 22, we had 134 complaints on trespassing. In 23, 148. And so far this year, 46 that we've responded to. Mental health issues in 22 is 76. In 23, it's 54. And so far this year, 26. Most of the individuals that we encounter either have a substance use disorder or mental health disorder. It's hard for us to tell which one is prominent, but it is difficult for the officers and it's more difficult for the neighbors that live in that neighborhood. The other thing that we're seeing is multiple of garbage at these homes that I'm telling you, garbage that would fill this room. Some of it's outdoors, and some of it is in the house still. It's been there all winter. So when we know that we have rat issue here in the city, and that's one of the reasons is these individuals don't take care of their trash. Law enforcement is it a substance use disorder, is it a mental health disorder, is it a homeless disorder? It's a combination of all of them. Services, I'm telling you, we can provide all the services. We have shelters in Presque Isle that we can direct them to. They just won't do it. They don't want to do it. Holton Police Department, I think, housed 4 people in their lobby most of the winter. So,
Our lobby is too small, isn't it?
yeah, and my office is right off the lobby, so. So I've given you our protocols for homelessness. One thing that I did come across today was there's an actual Supreme Court case going from Oregon about homelessness, and if making that a crime, it would be a violation of their rights of cruel and unused punishment. So the Supreme Court just took it up last month. We will have to wait and see how they rule on, is homeless a crime, or is it society's issue that we're all going to have to deal with.
If one of those subjects was to ask for a ride to the homeless shelter in Presque Isle, are you obligated to give them a ride?
We're not obligated, but we will. We will also buy bus tickets. We have bought
You have that in your budget?
I have that in my personal budget. And I've used that before. I know it costs $100 for a taxi to Holton. So, yeah.
Those the four in the basement?
Yeah, no, it was somebody else. So, yeah, it's, and listen, if you look on the news every night, and you look at Bangor and you look at Portland, and there's actually two different lawsuits going on in Portland. One is about moving the camps, and the other one is not moving the camps. So it's quite an issue that unfortunately, we're all facing. And so, questions?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I know up along Madawaska in the St. John Valley, whenever there was, their abandoned houses, whatever the case may be, that were drug associated, they did create an initiative that they started knocking those houses down. I'm not sure what the angle is on this, as far as if we want them there, we don't want them there, but are these privately owned buildings, or?
Most of them, and that's what we look at in our blight issues that we're also addressing. We have a number of houses that we know that are blight, and we're addressing those. It's not as easy as you all think, just taking a house and how much it costs to take it down.
Is there anything in the ordinance that talks about how many people can live in so many square feet?
That's a public health issue, isn't it?
Well, depending on the conditions.
So.
But-
I mean, just
Livable
looking at-
space, yeah.
But let me tell you, even if it's a public health issue and you take it to the courts,
Yeah.
we saw how that works. It's 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we've been dealing with a landlord in one of these homes since last October. That and we're still dealing with the issue, so. As a matter of fact.
He never got back to me. Has
No,
it got
he
back
hasn't
to you?
got back
No.
to me either, so.
So the approximately 5 houses, those are privately owned, and
All privately owned, yep,
they just take in
yes.
associates or whatever?
Well, there's 4 houses and 1 garage.
There might be something in life safety or property maintenance.
For
Ah,
number
there's-
of people, number of
Addressing-
occupants?
I
Yeah,
mean, there's all kinds of violations that you can,
yeah.
it's a matter of the timeline that the courts
Right.
allows us to do anything.
Yeah.
That's the frustration
The
that we
enforcement.
have. I mean, some of these houses we go to
Yeah.
a couple times a week, so.
Yeah.
it's-
So what do you think about tents?
uh,
Should they,
Yeah, no.
it's not an issue now, but
Yeah, we're fortunate that most of the tents that we had come across, we just came across one that actually was on DOT's land by the highway, and that individual was from away, and we talked to him, and he left, but he left his tent. So,
And we are blessed with cold winters.
That's-
we are, everybody says. But we have people that live in tents all winter long.
Yes.
I had one that lived for 3 or 4 years in a tent, and the landowner knew it. So it's, we're fortunate that we're not having any encampments, 5 or 6. Usually it's 1 or 2, and then we can just move them on. Tell them that we're trespassing, give them the opportunity, and if they don't want to take the opportunity, then we can charge them.
can, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't take our right to charge anybody, just that we have to give that opportunity for some alternative first.
So we don't need a policy on tents in public spaces.
Not until we see what the Supreme Court
I was
rules.
gonna say, not until we know what this
Not
comes back
today.
with.
I guess
No.
we'd have to wait until, if they rule one way or the other, maybe that would, something that we should maybe have to look at. Most of our parks, schools are all timed, so after a certain hour, you can't be in that park, or you can't be in after 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, so that's a different, we're already covered by that. Most of our school zones and parks are all smoke-free zones, drug-free, so there's another thing that, we
Right.
have all these little things in the basket that we utilize. We try to think out of the box and help them, but a lot of them just don't want help, or they don't see it at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Item G. Doing businesses in Caribou. Mr. Corvo.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Oh, did you want to say anything, Karen, about the information that you printed out?
Well, the only
Oh,
thing-
yeah.
the
You can
only
go
thing
to
is-
the microphone.
So, I did some research on tenting and homeless encampment ordinances. And as the chief said, they're all in litigation, especially Portland is in litigation, because they passed an ordinance against encampments, and last fall, they were going in to bulldoze this big encampment under the bridge, and not just the homeless people, but people, rights people and all that, parked car, there's just a big uproar, it's in litigation. But you can read that they did pass, they do have camping prohibited on public property and public rights of way, okay? But what I found more interesting was, and might be down the road, I can see maybe not right now, but the city of Bangor put this under temporary camping vehicles, which they probably already had, but they included temporary shelters, which are defined as tents. So you go down through here, and they talk about temporary every time they talk about temporary shelters, it'll reference a tent, okay? And it talks about occupancy on residential properties and business properties, okay? And so it's highlighted on page 38 and 39. So just read over that, because I found that pretty interesting, that no temporary shelter located on a residential, so it talks about what it can be on a residential property, as long as they're not being charged a fee, as long as they have permission, but the period of time cannot exceed 30 days that they're there camping on that property. That's what they're saying in this ordinance, just, okay? And then on business, it said no temporary shelters located on a non-residential property shall be occupied in these different, under these different conditions. And then it also says, again, this might be no use for, at the bottom of page 39, use for living or sleeping purposes of any physical shelter or vehicle not meeting, you can't live in cars. That's something that you have to look at too, people living in cars. Have you seen much of that? Yeah, see? And so do you want to regulate this or not? I mean, are you just opening up a whole can of worms? I mean, it seems like they haven't really had, they asked people to move on, they move on. They haven't really had a lot of pushback. And then there are here's sanitary standards. Okay, so that's a whole nother aspect. So one of the considerations, if you read some of this stuff, is that or the state's even considering assigning places where people can tent, okay? But they have to pick up all their stuff between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And they have, but the city or state has to provide lockers.
Oh, my God.
This is happening in Portland. And sanitary facilities, like porta potties, okay? So they're allowed to camp, but they have to pick everything up, and they have to be provided sanitation and lockers for their stuff. Okay, so, I mean, all kinds of things are happening, but everyone conditions it with, these are all temporary solutions, we have to find a permanent solution down the road so that people don't have to camp and blah, blah, okay? But if you critically read some of that stuff, you can see all those, the way that some of these other communities, but we're nowhere near, Portland or Bangor.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
So, just an idea.
All right, moving on to item G.
And you relegated that to me?
I did, Mr. Corvo. I did.
Well, as you know, I've always been a big advocate to prioritize economic development, which basically is the movement of money, the exchange of money, and the growing of our tax base. And it's slowly catching on. We had a good meeting this week with a potential client that's interested in coming to Caribou.
Oh, good.
I represented the planning board, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm not at liberty to give out any names or anything, but it was very enlightening and promising, I will say.
Is there any, anything we can do on the planning board side?
Yeah, potentially, you may have to add some meetings,
Okay,
depending
move
on how
things along?
Yes.
okay.
And I was looking at the road leading to that site.
Mhm.
It's a very narrow road.
Mm. They didn't seem to be worried about it though, but, you know.
I would be if I was driving a semi.
Mhm.
Actually, I don't think the road is built to spec either, and it was
Oh,
a
no.
city-owned road. But we won't go there at this.
Let's not go there at this time,
point in
we're not
time.
on camera.
Can
okay?
of worms, can of worms. Okay. We'll move along then, unless if anybody has anything else.
Can we go
on
back
that
to
item?
F?
We certainly can.
I've always thought that Caribou should have a limit for the number of days per year that someone can reside in a camper, and put it between, let's say, May and October.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of municipalities have a limit so that people aren't trying to live in a camper through the winter. We've had people successfully living in campers through the winter, but
Mm-hmm.
it probably isn't really safe.
Yeah, but you're talking on private property?
Yeah.
And it's them?
Yeah.
Is that considered
Well,
a
I mean,
temporary?
a camper trailer, not
Right.
a manufactured housing, mobile
Right.
home type.
It's an RV,
And
recreational vehicle.
motorhome,
Yeah.
tow behind, pop up, whatever, but to live in a camper trailer through the winter, or a camper through the winter.
Or if you got snowmobilers hauling their, driving their camper up here, hauling snowmobiles.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing that out there.
But that's for a very short period of time, too, so.
Yeah, but you don't, that's what I'm getting at. You don't want to limit it by the time of year.
It's usually six
Oh, I see
months.
what you're
A lot of
saying.
A lot of
Because
municipalities
I've seen,
what
I've
about
seen
ice
it.
shacks? Or any of those aluminum, yeah.
would have to dig a lake first.
Yeah,
have
dig a
nice
lake.
shack.
They do have those, they're snowmobile trailers that are, it's an RV, but it's literally meant for,
A toy hauler.
Oh, yeah, motorhomes at the back door opens and you can drive your
Mm-hmm.
toys up in.
no, this one, it's a winter RV.
Well, if they were connected to power and sewer and a well, and all those good things. But we have people without power, without sewer, without wells,
Insulation.
living at the back of a field in their camper.
So how many days are you allowed to not have, I feel like this has come up recently, about how many days you can live in a residence with a temporary restroom facility.
We don't address that either, I don't think.
Isn't that part of the public health? Don't you have to have don't you have to have a water disposal system if it is a dwelling unit?
Correct.
If it's a dwelling unit, but what you're saying
But it
is.
doesn't say you can have a number of days without it. I mean, it says that you have to be, it's a minimum standard.
A minimum standard.
So you should have it 365 days, apparently. But we have people that maybe don't.
And then the enforcement's an issue too.
Mhm.
So is an RV considered a temporary shelter?
I don't know.
I remember looking up the definition because we had an issue with this. But there's always room for
Chief is counting.
interpretation, you know, well,
He's counting on the
Counting
camera.
how many
How many
trailers people are living in.
yes, like
All year
camper
round,
thing.
All year round.
Yeah.
Four,
It was
more on
on East Pascal Road, I
yeah, Limestone Street,
Ogren Road, there's one, I think.
Steve, it's easier.
There was one
If it's in
on-
the shoreland zone, it's already defined in law.
Caribou Lake Road. We had
Caribou
an
Lake
individual
Road.
that lived out there.
Blueberry Lane.
Blueberry Lane.
Well, maybe we'll revisit that when this comes back up in June.
Just something to think about.
RVs through winter.
Landry Road.
He knows them all.
Mm-hmm.
Close to home.
That's ours.
Uh,
The landlord.
Thank you, Steve.
I did make a note of that, Steve.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Must be a cold winter.
We're back to item 5.
We're back to
5A.
item 5 unless if anybody wants to take a step back. Discussion of zoning change on the East Presque Isle Road. This must have been last meeting that this came up, and I am,
Yeah,
you,
thank
Chief.
you, Chief.
Thank you. It's okay, I was here and I can't remember it either.
oh, perfect. Lovely.
So we talked about sending this to a public hearing
Mhm.
to update the zoning. So, of course, the zoning map is, when I looked at it on the screen, it looked like part of his lot was in both zones, but apparently, so you don't own between the railroad track and the river, right? Someone else
No.
owns that.
No,
Yeah.
but it looked like, when I was looking at it, it looked like that R3, oh, I'm sorry, the R2 actually comes up past that point unless I looked at the wrong map. It looked like it was actually coming up into my property. So if you look actually on River Road, as far as the zoning is concerned, it actually goes up and hits a certain point, right? If you come down the East Presque Isle Road, we lack that R2 zoning right there, because I'm actually on city sewer. So
Across the river, you
there
are?
is city piping that goes through there, but for some reason, somebody didn't include either up to the East Presque Isle Road or the properties there, so. And all, pretty much going from in my opinion, from R3 to R2 would minimize the side lots as far as like improvements. Most everybody already has their setbacks, so I mean, the properties are larger, so it's not having an impact on overall ratio of buildings to land and then setbacks in the front and the rear, so. But I'd have to look at it again. I thought that the R3 section actually came into the property.
No,
Maybe it did.
R2, so R3 is where you are on the road.
So it
Penny
looks
just
like they just
loves-
didn't encompass that corner of the city, because I'm in city limits. City limits doesn't end until a couple properties down, so I'm part of the city, but for some reason they didn't include us into the R2 zone.
So which side, I'm sorry, which?
So do you feel left out?
Yeah.
Well, as far as where I want to build, yes, I do. I feel like I pay the taxes that the city provides me, so the zoning would be a little benefit.
Which lot is the one that we're looking at? Where?
It's gonna be where the triple is.
Yep.
Ray.
I'm pulling it up now. I mean, you've got it on the
Amanda.
map.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, those
Yeah.
triple, those tiny
Yeah,
ones.
Yeah, but it would actually go all the way down past
Which-
those into, and I don't know why the city doesn't mark it, but you see how it goes into the R2 all the way down here? right there, there's like a defined line, which would be the city limits, right?
Yeah.
And then it comes down, and then in theory, it would go, I don't even know where it would be, but it'd be somewhere right here would be the end of the city, so it'd be all these.
R2.
And then it would reflect, right, from R3 to R2, because a lot of that's more residential than it is, none of that's really farming, it's privately owned lots,
So
so.
your lot is how many
mine-
acres?
I'm gonna be
His is right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, how many
But-
acres is it?
0.4546 acres, yeah. See, because the one of the zonings I saw, I guess it showed it more like,
It makes no sense.
but, I don't know.
But, yeah, that East Presque Isle Road, all the way down to the large piece that we can see at the bottom of it, I think that should all be converted to the R2.
So like.
Pretty much the
until
dam.
Here.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're having an issue because you want to,
He wants to
Right,
build
so-
a shed beside his garage.
Yeah,
and you can't meet the setbacks.
That's correct, yeah.
From R3.
I was gonna build a garage onto the house, which I would have been the 15-foot side setbacks, and I have back surgery and stuff, so I'm gonna put a shed. So it would give me a little bit more room to work with for
Okay.
the side of my house.
So you can see on page 45 has the minimum setbacks. And so you can see the R2, the side is 5 feet.
Oh,
And if
it's
you look
not
at
taller.
R3, the side is 15 feet.
And actually, to the, where I'm situated, where you see the 3 properties, to the north of that, that's all open land and tree land owned by Dwayne Photography Dwayne. So there's not even any housing on the north end of that.
So as it is right now, it's an existing non-conforming lot, basically, because it's in an R3 and it doesn't meet the,
But it was probably a non-conforming lot of record when the.
Yeah, that's
you
what I was
know,
wondering.
When the
So when they
zoning
did the
started
zoning.
or whatever, so it's, yeah. And I'll see this, so this, in here, that's pretty well, commercial.
yeah. Is that Circle B?
And then this one is, yeah, well, CP Storage.
Okay.
So Blackstone Farms.
Yeah.
is
Circle B is
here.
quite a ways.
Okay.
Quite a ways. And then Versant Power bought this house here.
Mhm. So that's 1 acre.
So, you know,
Yeah, that house is gone now.
yes, because they, I don't know why they.
Tear it
did
down?
Yeah, because that's where the power lines cross.
Okay.
that. And then they had bought this lot in here too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, recently, in the last 10 years. Anyway. But you have these here that are
Yeah.
kind of, they're all smaller
Yeah.
residential lots. So this, and the funny thing is too, like, these are on a different map even. So if you look at the city tax maps, if you're looking at this, these are on map 27, which is one of the in-town maps. And these are all on map 8,
Yeah.
which is rural maps.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if that was an oversight or what. So what I did is I went in, and if you did these residential lots that are on map 27, which is, like I said, an in-town map, they're map 27 lot 80 to map 27 lot 90.
And then the next lot down, is that map 8?
Yes, so
Okay.
this where Versant Power,
Mhm.
that's map 8, this is map 8. All these others are map 27.
Yeah. What's that funky one just between, just to the left of what you have selected now?
Here,
Yeah.
Craig Terrio, must live there, he's got a
Yeah.
homestead exemption.
It just is, it's a funny
Yeah, it's a
shape.
funny
and
shape.
Yeah. Must be a right of way or something, or,
Because he owns that house and then all the properties to the south of that.
okay.
So it's all one property, but however it was once divided, or the deeds were separate.
Yeah, so on page 46, you can
Mhm.
see Craig Terrio owns map 27 lot 81, 82, 83, and 84.
What page did you say? I'm sorry?
46.
46. Oh,
So I actually should have went to 2792, because 2792
Yeah.
is your lot.
Mm.
Oh,
Have you
27092.
taken a gander at the proposed zoning map?
I have not.
I'm just wondering if it was an You know what I mean? Like that map is not digitized and
if we cleared it up,
if we
I don't
cleared-
think we changed it though.
I don't think so. I don't think-
I'm just wondering if, I don't know.
Now, if we change those lots, we'd have to change multiple lots.
Right, all
Because-
27s.
Because otherwise it would be spot zoning.
You're
so-
right.
Yeah, we could
All-
probably be real
yeah.
easy to go
Yeah.
both sides of the road, right down to the potato house.
Right, all
Then-
the ones
then
that
you
are
go
on
to
27.
commercial,
27.
and
Yeah.
we'd be fine, I think.
Yeah, all the ones that say 27, because
Then-
like Penny
yeah.
said, that's an in-town lot map.
Right, and I think that'd be real,
Yeah.
because then you wouldn't have to worry about any cutouts or.
Right,
anything.
right. They're all on that one map.
Right.
And so that's why, so when you look at the tax maps online, you can see there's an inset on map 8 that shows that there's map 27
Yeah.
sitting there. It's all very hinky. Like when you start like actually looking into it, you think,
The only thing that I would want to know is those 3 or 4 houses that go up the hill?
Yeah,
Are they on
City
sewer
water.
too?
Yeah.
Because if they are, you might have to make a dog leg there. Go down the road and then you go up the hill and then go down the road where we're talking. I don't, I'm just,
It might be good to include them in the zone.
well, that's what I'm saying,
Just,
'cause
Right.
just to
they're
make,
residential and they're outside of that rural.
isn't there a
piece.
church somewhere right along there?
Yeah, I think so.
it's
Going up
the
the
other, it's going up the
Going
hill,
up the hill there.
up the Fort Hill.
That's a little ways away.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
it's
did
around
get
the
my
corner.
tax increase, so I felt like I'm already been included. That's in my back of my mind. I think I got included.
It doesn't
on
work
last
that
page.
way.
Yeah.
So can we make a motion
A motion what, to update our proposed zoning map?
to take this issue to a public hearing and make a recommendation to the city council
okay,
afterwards?
so, well, first let me look at this map because I gotta find where I can find these.
I would like to
That's
just
not online
include it
because
in
the
one-
online
that
one,
one
it didn't look
rezoning.
good. Okay, so I don't know what the map and lot numbers are on these right here.
Those are a
That's
lot-
what I'm trying to look, those I think are on map 8.
Those are,
I mean,
there's some houses there, and then there's the church, and then there's another house, and then
so, but what you want me to
fields.
do is find out if they're on city sewer?
Well, I mean, I don't think it
Shouldn't
makes a
matter.
difference,
I don't
but I'm
think
just
it
saying,
does.
why wouldn't we lump those in? If we're gonna change that
Yeah.
other piece,
Can you make a motion?
they're not really mixed use, I mean.
They're not, no, I'd
Included
hesitate
in
on those larger
pending-
lots, making them conform to the
pending
smaller one,
zoning
because if
realignment.
you remember a
Right.
couple year, last year, the year before, we had some larger
She wants
lots
to include it.
going out
thing.
161, that they wanted to have a
We can vote
goat,
to include
Makes
it.
sense.
and they were in the
Vote to include it
R2,
tonight.
and
So we don't
they
lose it?
came back in for a zoning change
And show
request
him
because they
we're
wanted to
making
have a goat, and they couldn't.
Well, yeah, and part of it was they were in the back of the airport zone too.
It wasn't, no, it wasn't part of the, it was the back side of the airport, but
Well, for one lot, and I think the other one next to it it was like so close, but it wasn't in it.
yeah, but they were like 3-acre lots, and they were included
Yeah.
in the R2, so that's the only reason I hesitate on taking those larger
Oh,
lots.
I'm not
and
saying
making
it's a
them-
done deal or anything, I'm just
Yeah.
saying where you've got, I guess we could figure out how big those lots are, but
Oh, there's map
they don't look that
27.
big to me.
Yeah, all those 27s, there is no poultry, there's and nothing besides domestic animals. Now,
Yeah.
farther down, where it's R3, you do get chicken, people
Right.
chicken, stuff like that, but.
Those lots are smaller, most of those lots are smaller than the 1-acre minimum for
Right,
R3
And then just
anyways.
outside of that, heading
Yeah.
south, then you have
Yeah.
people with chickens and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But as far as that stretch of 27,
Right.
So you're sure you don't want a goat?
Yeah, I mean, you want your shed, you can't have a goat, you
I know.
can't have it both ways.
I'm just sticking with some rough
You
ground.
can't have your shed and eat your goat too. I don't even remember if it was a goat, it was something.
A goat works.
Yeah, a small livestock animal.
So did you want a motion?
I don't necessarily, since we're having that workshop on the 23rd, we can include this in
We
our.
could include it.
We could include it and
Okay.
then
Did you make a
have our
note?
public, it's all up here. Have
Write
our
it down.
Have our public hearing for the June planning board meeting and include this.
Yep.
He's raising his hand.
Do I need to be here on
No.
the next one to make
No.
sure that,
No,
I'm just trying to keep that ball rolling and make sure it doesn't fall off somewhere.
you want to make sure that map 27 is included.
Well, I didn't even think about 27, but yes, that's a very clean way of looking at it.
Map 27, move to
Lots
R2.
80 to 95.
Yeah,
That's what the actual, I had 90 instead of 95.
Go build your shed.
Building gravel, so that work goes on.
but it'll, if we have a public hearing next month, we'll
I mean,
pass it.
you're having, but on the 23rd, isn't that where you're going to have the public hearing for that 20 Limestone Street anyway?
That's for the shoreland. That's not a zoning request change. This is I want to
Okay.
lump this in with all of the zoning.
Oh, okay.
Because this is,
got ya.
right? That one's not
To do
zoning.
it once.
To do
okay.
it once, because I don't want to
She's
do.
good, huh?
She's very good, very efficient. So we're not doing it multiple times. Okay.
Right. So we're supposed to have if everything goes as planned, we're going to have a public hearing next month on zoning.
On the 13th.
On the
Yeah, on
13th.
zoning changes.
Yep.
If everything goes according to plan, we'll pass it, but then it has to go to city council, which is their next meeting. And if they pass it, it'll,
So for the 13th, it'll just be lumped under a public notice. It doesn't have to be itemized?
No.
Or will be, okay.
Yeah, won't it
Right,
affect
Penny?
just you, it'd be all your
It'll be-
neighbors?
Yeah, they're all gonna have to.
yeah.
I think when we did a big change over that area, like around the mill pond, we sent notices to everybody over there,
I think, but I mean, we're going to have to send notices to
like the whole town.
the whole town.
So, but I mean, people should know if their zoning is changing. Like,
Right.
I feel like people need to have that opportunity to
Right.
know. Like, if my
yeah.
zoning was being changed,
Mhm.
even if it was to my benefit,
Mhm.
I still think I should know.
Yeah, there are people that come in and say, well, what does this mean for me?
Oh, believe
Yeah.
me, I know.
Yeah.
Because right now we're getting them because BRSA sent notices on a stormwater permit,
Yes.
but we don't have the information.
Gotcha.
But we have people, hey, what have I got that says that the city office has this? The city office does not have that. Supposed to have it tomorrow.
Would this work out better if we just held off and put the notice in with the tax bill?
Oh, Steve, that's a wonderful.
Just one envelope?
Oh, when the tax bills go out.
The tax bill
first
and
part of
and a
July.
surprise.
That counts as being a public notice, right?
Well, yeah, if it gets mailed to people.
I still think an article in the local paper
Does that count?
showing the changes, the
Well,
highlights.
we can have okay, how about this? I will reread what we have to do. I mean,
Okay.
maybe we do overkill, and it's possible that we overkill things because we always try to err on the side of making sure
Right.
that people have
Mhm.
notice.
Mhm.
You know, so like the law will say 500 feet, but I'm really going more than that so that I'm sure that anybody, by the crow flies, maybe is 500 feet from the closest part of the property. Like, I really try to be,
Cautious.
yes, because I don't want somebody to say, wow, I'm 499 feet from a little dog leg of that property that goes behind so-and-so's house and I didn't get a notice, So I can reread what the requirements are of the notice to see if a person can put it in the paper or whatever. Where we're doing a big update
A big update.
instead of just, the one that we did over here was big.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many properties, but it was a big one. It was several years ago, but we had several boxes of letters that went out. Because
Oh,
when you
okay.
talk about the people who were directly affected,
Yep.
and then the number of feet out from that, it was a lot of people.
Yeah.
Nice thing about this was Nobody's getting shortchanged with the changes.
No,
Everybody's
no, no.
actually,
Unless they want a goat, or a chicken, or a pig, or something.
so I mean,
He's
that
like,
needs to
There's
be,
no goat lovers out there.
Not
The only thing out
yet.
of the ordinary would be the apartment complex that Dwayne owns facing Fort Road.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's already zoned for.
Is that right on the corner?
yes.
Right as you cross
Yeah,
the
there's
bridge.
multiple, I don't know how
Yeah.
many,
That's
there's
the only
4 or 5
multifamily
apartments.
that even exists in that stretch. It's all small.
At one
single
time, did
family.
they have a horse on this property here?
Next one over. It's closer to him than it is Dwayne.
Yeah, this
It is
big
big.
one
How
here.
long ago was that, though?
Does the
It was
horse
before
count as
Dwayne
livestock?
owned it.
Yeah, I guess it does. Recreation?
I
I don't
didn't
know, what is it
remember.
classified as?
But it was
Depends
bef-
who's
it was
asking.
before
Yeah.
We
Dwayne owned
had
it.
someone right
They had
in
a
town
horse
who had a
there.
horse, and we
But that-
called it Permit by Mizuko.
Where that little
And that
barn
was
is.
our code officer at the time, and he just let them have their horse, and that was it.
Okay.
There hasn't been a horse there in a long time.
20 years probably?
Yeah, it's been 20 years anyway.
30 years
So
ago,
I've
there was
now
a horse
crossed the
there.
threshold into an old person. Because I'm remembering things from 20 years ago and thinking it was last week, so.
No,
I
but
know I saw a horse, you
Welcome
know.
to the club. Wasn't it a sleeper?
I have no idea, I just remember like driving out there and seeing a
I
horse.
think it was a sleeper that had a horse.
Because they had like, because, oh God, Dr. Boone,
I
I think
believe so.
he owned the property, I think.
yeah.
And he had like the little barn and someone had probably renting the little,
Yeah.
the lot.
Yeah, I think that's what it
because there
was.
was the little barn and then they had a horse.
Yeah. The
But that
barn's
was
still
when
there.
Dr. Boone still owned it, so. And again, I'm talking about things that's like 3 property owners ago, so I've really crossed that threshold of old person, so. My youth
Well, you're not alone.
is completely
You're not
evaporated.
standing alone in this room. How's
Yes.
that?
Include in zoning changes. I've made a note.
Okay.
We're on it.
He's gonna hold you to it.
He is. I agree.
Okay.
All right. Item 6.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
patience
you.
to have to sit
Thank
through
you.
the whole meeting for
Yeah.
old business, but. Staff report, are we there?
We are at staff report.
Okay, so I have a copy of the city manager's report from the April meeting. And I have a few updates from that, but this will keep me on track. So Riverfront Power Plants, I was informed this week that EPA has a different project manager for the CERCLA action. And they will be on site Monday, so I'm
Oh.
gonna go meet up with them on Monday. And their new project manager, to find out, see, they were going to start Monday, like
Yeah.
this week. Yes,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what happened?
Change project manager.
So now
they need to
Project
come
manager
see.
is no longer with the EPA.
So now the new one needs to come see.
She's been there. Her name is Kathy Young.
Oh.
She's been here before. Yeah, they put her back. She was working like background stuff for responsible party stuff. She was working on that for a while. But the guy's name was Zachary Taylor, and he's no longer with EPA. So broadband initiative. I have an update on that as well. I'm always emailing them for updates, and I did get an email from Brian Allenby last night saying that Kendra Joe, who's a person at MCA, was supposed to be sending me an email today about the status of this, but they are real close. But I did not get that email before we had the meeting. I mean, it could be my email box now. I don't
Has Charter applied for their pole permits yet?
To my knowledge, they have not.
Okay.
Yep, so they had the spring runoff over the weekend. I guess it was actually on Sunday. I have Saturday, May 5th, but it was Sunday, May 5th.
Was it successful?
Cinco de Mayo.
No idea.
I saw pictures.
Like canoe. I was here working.
I saw pictures. It looked like everybody had a lovely time.
It's cold. Nice
was
breeze.
sunny.
Nice breeze on the water.
Yeah. So the citywide yard sale, May 17th through the 19th, and the brush removal program is going on right now. The Rescue Plan Act, we submitted 2 grant applications to the Aroostook County ARPA program, and they were approved. One was through public health, and that one was for equipment at the fire station, new stretchers for the ambulances, so patients in Caribou will have a smoother ride to the treatment facility
Lovely.
courtesy of ARPA funds. And the other one was for our South Main sanitary sewer extension.
Oh, did that one, that was part of the,
Yeah.
ARPA.
that was part of
But we
ARPA?
only did the first part of it.
Yeah.
We got
Okay.
cost share
It's
for
like
the first part.
269,000, I think, something like
We
that.
weren't able to fund the whole thing, or to.
Yeah.
269 is the match? Or that's
Yes.
free and clear?
That's the match.
Okay.
And to do what we really want to do is like $1 million.
So we've got like half of that.
So we're going, well, the city has put in money, a business on South Main has put in money, and now we have ARPA funding.
Okay.
But we have to try to look for like an EDA grant or something for the rest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just chasing money. That's just what we do. The Development Committee met on the 17th, and they've scheduled some dates for follow-up events. And on the 21st, we've got a meeting to talk about some important things also, in addition to their regular meeting. They're really pushing hard for several different initiatives. They've got people working on housing, people working on commercial development. No updates on the Riverfront Master Plan. I did submit all the paperwork they need that I can work on. Right now, they're waiting on their NEPA review. After we have the NEPA review, if everything is clear there, we should have a final notice to proceed, which would mean we could, enter into a purchase and sale agreement for the properties, do the appraisals, that kind of thing. That's what we're waiting for. And then we can also put out an RFP for the Riverfront Master Plan. The facade improvement grant, we've had one in the downtown district for quite a few years, and we had some businesses in the RC2 TIF district, which would be like Caribou Motor Inn down south, where we have kind of that cluster of commercial. We had businesses out there that were asking us to see about extending a facade improvement grant out there, which makes sense. I ran it by the council, they were in agreement. I contacted DECD and, reminded them what we did have for allowable projects, and they said, since business support and is part of the things that are allowable with those funds, that we could have a TIF, we could use TIF funds for a facade improvement grant. So they approved, so the council officially approved that. We went out and we awarded 3. And we're excited to see those projects get completed. Caribou Economic Growth Council, they actually met this morning. They don't have any new loans or anything. This year they're really working on a lot of different compliance measures. Not that they're really out of compliance, but it's just they don't, there's just some things that they'd like to tighten up on some of their language. So we're kind of working through those things. With the police station, SW Cole has submitted geotechnical report for the police station site. The airport, we received a favorable bid from Soderberg Construction for the apron project, which was under what we had budgeted, which that never seems to happen. But I'm guessing since the asphalt plant abuts the airport, it might have helped with the cost of asphalt. And it's nice we're able to keep that local too, but they were the low bidder. Comprehensive plan, we got a update on that tonight. Cary Medical Center is having their 100th anniversary of Jefferson Cary's vision for Caribou Community Hospital, and that's going to be celebrated all year. Gary Markey actually, Cary bought some flags for some of the poles, so you'll see some of those with Jefferson Cary's face on there. I have in here our grant project updates for April. We did apply for funding through the Maine Connectivity Authority for improvements to the library, and we've been we were very happy that we were able to get that grant submitted on time. They've come back and asked us some questions, which we've provided that those answers, I believe, right, Karen? I know you and Peter worked on that.
$50 no
Yeah.
match grant to
Mhm.
upgrade the digital, make the library more of a digital hub with more computers and training and a lot of
Yeah.
modernizations. And then the library was also included in an energy conservation request to Senator Angus King. They chose 10 projects throughout the state, a CDS that was approved. And we stand to probably get 200 to 250,000 in energy improvements, mostly for power plant, for not so much for construction, because we had to find that out because they wanted us to know if it was going to take off the other grant. But it's more for energy efficiency in cooling and heating. So solar panels, furnace, you know, a little
Windows,
bit of insulation,
yeah.
but more for like the hardware
Mhm.
to make the library more cost effective in energy.
Yep.
Basically.
So we have great things going on there. I've updated you on the MBRC and CERCLA, and Gary got his paperwork back on the Caribou Mill Pond and Park Reclamation Project. He got his grant agreement back.
You did get it.
He did, Tuesday. I think.
Favorable?
So he can start spending
Yeah.
money?
We're gonna check. It's been so long since
I
we've
know, we
like
have to go
started
back
it. We
and
kinda
read it.
gotta go back and read everything and see like, what does that even mean now? Like, are we all
I
set to
know,
go? Can we
exactly.
put out an RFP for
It was a
project
year.
manager?
It's almost been a year since we
Yeah.
started that process.
Yeah. So I've been told that the one for the police station is just sitting on someone's desk, ready to be signed, so. We don't have it yet, but, our brownfields, we have county environmental working down there right now. We do have our notice to proceed. We've had our public hearing. We're submitting our reports. All of that stuff is going well. DOT, VPI, we will be having our public meeting June 4th or 5th for that.
Let me say one thing about the brownfields grant that we received to take down the diesel plant, the brick diesel plant. We would have probably already started that, but we're on hold because they told us they were gonna start work at the steam plant and they didn't want anybody around because of all the friable asbestos and everything. So we have to stop, we have to kind of postpone the work that we got the grant for the larger project until they're all done. And that's gonna be pretty amazing. That's gonna change the whole skyline of Caribou to see that come down. That's amazing. Really amazing.
Benny, I have a question on land bank. You have, waiting to see what happens on the state level. What are you anticipating happening or not happening?
Well, so they started collecting money to fund land bank on the state level
Okay.
through like our waste. So AWS, they have like a surcharge
Right.
now per ton, and that's supposed to be funding the land bank. But we've never heard, you know, they pass this stuff and there's no guidance, and so we don't really know where they are on so many things. And we're being told that, you know, we're going to get some guidance on how we can A, access that money, B, how is the land bank gonna work now in our post Tyler versus Hennepin County? Because a lot of land bank property is acquired by municipalities through the
Right.
automatic lien foreclosure process, that's no secret. So we're just waiting, I guess.
Okay, reflecting back, the city did give a piece of land to, was it Business Investment Group?
Mhm.
If I understand correctly, if we want to put a structure on there tomorrow, all we've got to do is file an application, a building permit, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But I don't know, like, if you, I mean, the title to the property for the Business Investment Group is just a quitclaim deed from the city.
Oh, God, that's right.
Okay, and that was tax acquired property.
So we need to look into that LLC thing again.
Yeah, well, and we also need to look into we have to update our tax acquired property policy in our ordinance to include all of the new guidance, which I guess we just got new guidance, which I've skimmed but not really digested. it appears to me it's more of the same. It's just, you know, making it very clear. You must
Different
sell
verbiage.
it, you know, through a real estate agent. You
Right.
must return those proceeds. What I was most interested to read was, what are the things we can charge off to the proceeds? You know, are we able to charge off costs of demolition?
Of course you could.
Are we, well, this is what I hear from lawyers. You could make a good case. They
Mm.
don't say yes. They say, yeah, you could make a good case.
Get a better lawyer.
I've asked 3 so far. Because that's a big thing with us. Like, we have a lot of properties that the city paid to tear down because they were magnets for bad behavior.
And
Dangerous.
bad rats.
Dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
I'll bring you that article on the LLC.
Yes, that would be great.
We'll start there.
I'll be in all day tomorrow.
Okay. Looking for a motion?
No, I was laughing that she's going to be in here all day tomorrow, and I was like, and all day yesterday, and
Yeah,
all day
yeah,
Saturday,
I know,
and all
I'm
day
just saying,
Sunday,
like,
and I'm joking.
Some days, like, you know, I might have appointments outside the office, but Fridays are usually an in-the-office day.
You need
Because
to do
people-
an all-day, all-nighter.
Well, hold on. We're about to have an ordinance that prohibits that from temporary housing. Oh, goodness.
Hilarious. We don't have a shower here anyway, so,
Not yet.
yeah.
In the basement.
I
There's one
gotta-
downstairs.
I have to draw the line somewhere, Steve, and I'm going to the jail shower.
That's the line, Penny?
That's the line. I'll sleep on the floor of the office, it's fine. But I'm not taking a shower down there.
Oh, Penny, we appreciate all the work you do. But I would entertain a motion, if anyone's willing.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Oh, we have a motion from Eric,
Second.
seconded by Steve. Roll call vote, Steve,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 7:55. 7:56. Mike's off.
That was a good meeting.
It was good.
Yeah, they have a stove